Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching, Universal Design for Learning Connections. The PowerPoint shows the connection between the Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching and the Universal Design for Learning principles. Both are important in teacher effectiveness that promotes learning for all students, including those with disabilities. This document was developed and produced by the Maryland State Department of Education through federal funds. The Towson University Teaching Modules Development Team was led by Debbie Gartland, Project Director. On the team also were Roberta Stroh-Snyder, Val Sharp, Michelle Pascoe, Lenore Chapman, Jessica Kirchen, Jessica Moore, Rebecca Malloy, and Darlene Fuster. Thank you to all the content experts and others who provided feedback on the teaching modules as they were under development, including Towson University faculty, staff, and teacher candidates, and school system and MSDE personnel. This is the 7th PowerPoint in a series of PowerPoints in the Danielson teaching module. The Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching is comprised of 4 domains. Each domain addresses the evaluated teaching responsibilities of both novice and veteran teachers. Here is a visual of the 4 domains. You will notice that the position of the domains mirror the placement by Danielson on her smart card. Next, we will review each domain. Within each domain are specific components that function as the inclusive criteria a teacher must include at both the instructional and professional levels. With each of the next 4 slides, let's take a few minutes to determine some of the responsibilities you have assumed during your internship experiences. Here's Domain 1, Planning and Preparation. Here's Domain 2, the classroom environment. Here's Domain 3, instruction. Here's Domain 4, professional responsibilities. In the 1990s, Ann Meyer, David Rose, and their colleagues at CAST, which stands for Center for Applied Special Technology, introduced Universal Design for Learning, UDL, a framework to improve teaching and learning. CAST is a nonprofit education research and development organization that works to expand learning opportunities for all individuals through UDL. UDL can help educators improve and optimize learning experiences for all individuals and has been successful in teaching students with disabilities. Implementation of UDL levels the instructional playing field for all students. As a result, students are taught in the manner in which they learn. Every teacher should design instruction to meet the manner in which the students learn best. First, provide multiple means of representation, the what of learning. Second, provide multiple means of action and expression, the how of learning. And third, provide multiple means of engagement, the why of learning. When incorporating the UDL principles into instructional design and delivery, it is important to address the guidelines that define the parameters of each principle. Here's Activity 1. Let's divide into groups, and each group will be assigned one of the 3 principles. Examine the guidelines in your assigned principle and share strategies or instructional practices that would support each guideline. After each group has completed the task, we'll share findings. This PowerPoint is included in the Danielson teaching module because of the crosswalk between Universal Design for Learning and the Framework for Teaching. As teachers strengthen their practices by infusing the principles of UDL in their work, their performance within the framework will improve. This instrument explicitly provides teachers with the critical connections they need to enhance their planning, instruction, and professional practice. There is a linkage between the components within the 4 Danielson domains and the UDL principles and guidelines. Take a few minutes to read the Scenario 1. Note how this scenario aligns with the Danielson framework for teaching and the UDL principles and guidelines. These next few slides show the Danielson framework UDL crosswalk for Domain 1. Danielson framework UDL crosswalk, Domain 1 continued. Danielson framework UDL crosswalk, Domain 1 continued. This is the final slide for Domain 1. Take a few minutes to read the Scenario 2. Note how this scenario aligns with the Danielson framework for teaching and the UDL principles and guidelines. These next few slides show the Danielson framework UDL crosswalk for Domain 2. Domain 2 continued. Take a few minutes to read the Scenario 3. Note how this scenario aligns with the Danielson framework for teaching, Domain 3, and the UDL principles and guidelines. These next few slides show the Danielson framework UDL crosswalk for Domain 3. Domain 3 continued. Domain 3 continued. Domain 3 continued. This is the last page of the Domain 3 UDL crosswalk. Take a few minutes to read the Scenario 4. Note how this scenario aligns with the Danielson framework for teaching and the UDL principles and guidelines. These next few slides show the Danielson framework UDL crosswalk for Domain 4. Domain 4 continued. Domain 4 continued. This is the last page for the Domain 4 crosswalk. Now that you are familiar with the crosswalk between the Danielson framework for teaching and UDL principles, think about how you are going to incorporate this information into your lesson planning and implementation. As well, think about how the implementation of this crosswalk supports some of the professional growth and responsibilities that are required of all teachers. You can use this worksheet as a planning guide. Think about how you will address the Danielson 4 domains and supporting components while incorporating the UDL principles into your lessons. What strategies, instructional practices, and activities will you use to align with the Danielson UDL crosswalk? The next 2 slides model one manner in which this worksheet can be completed. In completing this worksheet, think about the following. Is what you plan to do teacher or student focused? Which principles will you address? What activities, strategies, or instructional practices will you implement for the UDL principles addressed within the domain component? These are the options. Are the options teacher or student focused? This is the second page of the worksheet. This observation form can be used to provide feedback on what UDL principles were incorporated for each of the 4 domains in either formal or informal lessons. Here's activity 2. Let's share what you have learned from this PowerPoint. Has it changed your thinking about the lesson planning and instructional delivery process? Why and how?